Hi everyone, I'm Sakshi and I welcome you to the B.Ed notes presented by Train the Teacher. Today I'm going to present a very short and helpful table to you which is going to summarize so many things for you just in one table. Okay, it is about development that takes place in different phases and what are the different changes that take place. So if we talk about physical changes, what are the physical changes that take place during infancy, during childhood, during adolescence? What about mental aspects in infancy, childhood, adolescence, and likewise? So let's get started. There are 5 to 6 common points that I have chosen for this. Physical aspects, gross motor skills. During infancy, the child develops head control, rolls, sits, crawls, and walks with support. So, if you talk about gross motor skills, this happens during infancy. During childhood, the gross motor skills are they develop better control of movements like running, jumping, etc. And in adolescence, they develop more coordinated movements. Fine motor skills. During infancy, the child grabs objects and explores it with hands and fingers. During childhood, they develop hand-eye coordination, and for an example, they start writing and drawing. During adolescence, they can do tasks of precision, for an example, playing an instrument and cooking, maybe along with drawing. The more precision, a task of precision is knitting, designing, etc. The third one is strength development. During infancy, muscles get stronger, they start rolling, crawling, pushing, sitting, etc. During childhood, the muscles strengthen by playing, and during adolescence they gain significant strength and they're able to lift possibly everything that's around. That's of course in the zone. The next point under physical aspect is coordination and balance. So it is basic, better, best. For an example, during infancy they learn to sit and balance. Coordination and balance, kitna balance kar pa rahe hain body ko. During childhood they learn to hop, climb, jump, etc. And during adolescence it's at its best. They are able to play different sports using different abilities. Bones development. During infancy, it's in the growing stage, the bones are soft. During childhood, there is faster growth, and during adolescence it reaches maturity, growth stops. Okay, so if for an example height, obviously height is directly related to development of bones, and the muscles become strongest and the height or the development of bone stops. The last point is pubertal development. Obviously during infancy there are no signs of it. During childhood, initial signs gets they get started, they become visible. For example, pubic hair, breast development, they are lightly or slightly visible. And during adolescence rapid changes take place, like for an example hair growth at different places, genitals, etc. So this was all about physical aspect, everybody. We'll talk about the mental aspect. Now there are 5 points that I have mentioned in mental aspect: cognitive development, language development, memory development, information processing, self-awareness, and identity. Infants begin to explore world through their sensory experience. Okay, so this is the cognitive development that takes place during childhood. Children develop language skill. They engage in pretend play, symbolic play. Pretend play, like they think that animals में जान है ना. They think sometimes they would use their hands considering कि mobile phone है. So that's pretend play. During adolescence, they think abstractly, and problem solving skills are there, planning skills, and many other skills they end up developing. So this is cognitive development that takes place during different phases. Language development, they begin to coo and babble. During childhood, they use phrases with correct grammar, and during adolescence they are able to develop complex communication skills. Memory, basic, improves memory capacity, and then enhanced memory capacity. Information processing, so they are able to recognize familiar faces and object permanence. Okay, during childhood they are able to recall information and follow instructions, and during adolescence they become critical thinker. Self-awareness, the next point is self-awareness and identity. So during infancy they begin to recognize themselves in mirror. During childhood they develop a sense of personal identity, and during adolescence they establish a more cohesive sense of self through values, beliefs, opinions, perspective, ethics, etc. The last point, everybody, is moral development. So during infancy there is basic understanding of what is right and wrong. So there, it's only punishment and reward thing that pushes them of understanding what's morally right and what's not. During childhood they understand rules, and they show empathy and fairness, and during adolescence there is advanced moral development. So this was all about mental aspect. You can take a broader look at it, everybody. All right, now we'll move forward to emotional aspect. In emotional aspect, there are 5 points again: emotional bonding, expressing emotions, empathy, emotional resilience, and emotional regulation. During infancy, there is attachment with caregivers. During childhood, caregivers and friends are the ones who children are attached with, and during adolescence, caregivers, friends, and they experience romantic feelings. So the people who they experience romantic feeling with, they get attached with them. Next we have expressing emotions. During infancy they are able to express basic emotions like joy, sadness, anger. During childhood they express emotions verbally, okay, here through expressions, here verbally, and during adolescence it's both. Empathy, the feeling of feeling others' pain and happiness and sorrow, others' emotion. So here it is good, here it is better, and here it is best. Simply, you can expand and extend it in your own words. Emotional resilience. Resilience means the ability to bounce back from a tragic incident or from low point. During infancy they learn basic adaptability, as a mother says ki chup ho jao, nahi rote, अच्छे बच्चे हो. So that's how they get this basic affection to learn the basic adaptability. During childhood it gets better, and during adolescence it gets enhanced. The last point is emotional regulation. Okay, how do they regulate themselves emotionally? During childhood it depends completely on caregiver to soothe distress. Again, very much connected to the last point. During infancy it depends on caregiver to soothe distress. Again, very much related to the last point. During childhood they learn basic emotional regulation strategy like taking deep breath and controlling their emotion, sometimes talking to friends. And during adolescence they automatically develop advanced coping skills, okay, like again talking to a near and dear ones, maybe writing a diary, etc. So this was all about emotional aspect, everybody. You can have a look. Now let's talk about social aspect. In social aspect, social awareness takes place where infant begins to recognize and respond to familiar faces. During childhood, a child expands social circle and understands basic social norms. During adolescence, the teenager deepens understanding of social dynamics and they have the broader understanding of it. Next we have playing. So during infancy, solitary playing, and the infant starts showing interest in others. Solitary playing takes place and they get interested in playing with others. Group activities, and they learn cooperative play skills. For an example, by taking turns. So पहले आप खेलो फिर मेरी बारी आएगी, आप करो फिर मैं. So they learn that during childhood. And in adolescence, activity. They learn, obviously they participate in greater group activities, and they learn planning, leadership, leading, initiating, etc. After this, we have social skill development. Basic social skill they end up developing during infancy, like eye contact, smiling, responding. And during childhood, it expands into listening, taking turns, and resolving conflicts. During adolescence, it becomes advanced through active listening, assertiveness, negotiation, etc. Awareness about culture, an important point. During infancy, they begin to respond to cultural cues, right? During childhood, they develop awareness of different cultures and individuals, okay, differently. And during adolescence, deeper understanding takes place, and the parents and the teachers, they try to foster inclusivity, diversity and inclusion. Everybody is same. We must accept and celebrate each other's culture, that sort of emotion. Peer influence. So during infancy, it's not applicable. There is no peer influence. They just play, as it was written. Solitary playing takes place, and they start showing interest in others. But there is no, the other infants fail to influence the other infants. During childhood, yes, they start experiencing and they learn to navigate them. And during adolescence, there are independent choices and they develop self-identity. Obviously, peer influence takes place, but independent choices also take place. So this was all about social aspect, everybody. We'll move to the last one, which is educational aspect, and there are certain points. So from educational perspective, during infancy, they learn basic sounds, basic sounds, cooing sounds. And during childhood, it's words, complete sentences, okay. And during adolescence, obviously there is an advanced language skill set that they develop. Numeracy skill, numbers, basic number recognition takes place. If you show them fingers like 1, 2, they'll be able to understand. They even babble some counting. So it's very basic. Here in childhood, they do understand obviously the basic number system, but also they understand addition, subtraction, the basic mathematical concepts they understand. And in adolescence, obviously complex mathematical concepts, all the theorems and everything else, multiplication, BODMAS. Literacy skill, obviously exposure to books. We provide them the basic books where pictures are there, visuals are more. So there is an exposure to books. During childhood, yes, letter recognition, phrases, phonetics, reading, writing skills and everything else, they're exposed to. And in advance, it's all. Cognitive development, yes, develops cause and effect. Cognitive, it's like they know that if they will press the bell, it will make sound. So that is cause and effect, cognition. Here during childhood, they develop logic and reasoning, and in adolescence, it's advanced critical thinking skills. Educational environment, interaction with caregiver, and they learn everything from the caregiver, from politeness to rudeness to the basic manners from the caregiver. During childhood, formal education begins. So there are friends, family, locality who are responsible for the educational environment. And in adolescence, they engage in more structured educational environment, and hence everything else also is responsible for that educational environment. Study skills, not applicable. They don't study, they're just exposed to books. Literary skills, not study. During childhood, they develop basic study habits like doing homework, going to school. And in adolescence, it becomes advanced by there are tuitions, homeworks, time management skills, preparing for exams, etc. So this was all about educational aspect, everybody, and this was all about the aspects and the development and growth that takes place during different stages. I think if you're going to recall, remember, memorize all of it, I'm sure you're going to get great marks. Okay, because in our textbooks I think that it is presented in very disappointing way. I mean, in one unit, how long can you learn that? So this was all. Let me know if you are looking forward to a video on any other topic. Till then, happy learning. Bye bye.